All right. So, for those that go by the saying, you got to practice what you preach, that is something that I like to partake in. So, I want to say that this video does not reflect that of my employer, but I did apply for a job and I'm grateful for some of the things that I've shared with you, hence the experience. Let's go. All right. Now, my name is Noan El Boricua. I'm the host here at Fuel Pasión Podcast, where we grow in cultura, immerse in it. We grow in our faith, and we make all the conexiones, which I love to say. Another word for networking. I hope that you can like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I'm excited because I have recorded my reactions throughout a process that I did. And I had applied for a role. And in applying for this role was back in early January of 2025. And it has been quite a journey. By the time of this recording, it will already have been March 1st. And we'll get to the result at the end. All right, so let's set the stage. A lot of times I always tell people that God has a funny way of always kind of getting an opportunity in front of you, but then it's up to the individual to be willing to take the faith in God and in themselves to walk through a door of opportunity. And in this actual example, I actually did that. I found a role by coincidence through a conversation with a candidate that there was a role that opened up locally here for my job. And it aligned to my skills, it aligned to my passions, it aligned to who Noan is in serving, but always being very intentional in how we go about the processes. Here's the catch. I didn't have the formal title for the role. Like, hear me out. I did not have the title for the actual role. But throughout my career and in the work that I do outside of my job, I have gained so many insights, invaluable experiences through volunteering, through consulting, which I believe made me the ideal candidate to apply for the role. So I was excited, bit nervous, but that's what it's all about, Mamba mentality. So we get to the interview process. I can tell you this, it don't matter what company you work for, the interview process is intense. It's something that, if you know, each round really is a chance for you and me to be able to showcase the skill, strengths, and more importantly, to connect with different team members across this whole process. And I was super grateful for that. The opportunity to be able to showcase what I have, to be able to share my strengths, and to be able to connect with many colleagues. And I just had to prepare for so many different questions. Now, you may be asking, like, well, what kind of questions is it? See, this is where, you got to keep it tight. But for the most of us, we know that many of these questions are based around skill set, technical skills, maybe if you're a cultural fit, for the type of role that you're going for. It was varied questions throughout this whole process. And if I'm keeping it 100, it was a lot. There was a lot of mental fortitude that I had to put into this. And I had to reach out to some friends, mentors, and colleagues in order to prepare. And I want to give a shout out to my boss, my leader, who actually helped me prepare as well throughout this process. I'll get to the key learnings at the end, but hear me out what I'm saying in this whole process. The waiting game. It sucks. Now, I'm a fellow recruiter. So the good thing is that as I finish these rounds, I still got to do my job. I need to debrief, I need to offer, I need to phone screen, I need to source. So throughout this whole process, um, you know, it was long, looking at my notes here, there came a point where if I'm being honest, I had 6 rounds of interviews. 6. And I understand why. And it's totally valid. You always want to make sure that you have the right fit for the role. And personally, for me, there were moments that I just needed to wait. And as a colleague of mine said, sometimes no news is good news, which, to be honest, that really did alleviate me. I think, that, again, key lessons will be at the end. I think for me, throughout the waiting game, it allowed me to reflect, to understand if I was a fit. It allowed me to understand and think about what connections do I have to the actual mission of what this role was getting after. So for me, and keep in mind, if you get offered the role, you still got to be willing to accept the offer, which that's another conversation. But the waiting game, Dios mío, that took a minute. Which leads me to this part of the video is the outcome. Yeah, I received the news, and unfortunately, I was not selected for the role. You guys ever know when there's a race, and no matter if it's a sprint, the 1600 track related, when you miss being first place by 10 or 100 seconds, it's like it's literally down to the decimal points. Como dicen en español, está en los detalles, it's in the details. It was very heartbreaking. I'm gonna keep it 100. If I'm being very honest, and I know some people would never post this video, but I did shed some tears because when you think about how much effort you put into this and the value that you can bring, it's human to have a reaction and be heartbroken, especially when you're like the top 2 finalists. But yet, I realized, and I am grateful for those that actually reached out to me, or I actually let them know that I just wasn't the right match. I wasn't the right fit. And that doesn't mean I am not worthy or that I am not capable. Can I repeat that again? Although I was not the match or the fit, it does not deem myself or you, when you go through these processes, that you are not worthy and that you are not capable. Sometimes, as a very good friend and once my leader, Ernesto, would say, it is not the right time with the right person in the right place. And I do agree with that. And I'm also grateful for some other colleagues that gave me the reassurance. But here's the lessons that I took from this. I didn't have the title. I came to the table showcasing that what I do as a person, my drive, my worth, and my value, everything that I do is beyond the workplace. I am noteworthy because I am willing to serve at a very high expectation, and I touch on a lot of different things that many people say, well, be the master of one craft. But there are a few out there that are pretty good at a few different crafts, and I am one of them. And I know for me, this role was an opportunity. And look, the biggest thing that I got from this is understanding that everything that I share with you, you don't have the role, create your own platform. You don't get this, volunteer over there. I've done that, and I will continue to do that because that's how I'm wired. The key thing that I try to share with people is that you cannot fake it. People know when you are authentic, you are genuine to the approach of trying to learn some downloadable skill sets that when it comes to a moment just like right now, like I did, that people take not one, not two, not three, but various looks and conversations to know, yo, this guy might be the guy. I'm excited because in my conversation post of understanding I didn't get this role, I have gained some insights. I know that I've made some new connections, but more importantly, thank you to those that I had these conversations with. I've learned so much about myself. This is why I stay a student of the game. Look, life will always bring unique challenges, and I think it's so important to understand that don't assume it's always going to be the same. Look, I went through a gauntlet, like a gauntlet of interviews, but it really allowed me to know that you need to find people at your table. And you need to, look, can I be honest? Maybe you face similar challenges. Maybe you've been through a similar gauntlet, and maybe you've prevailed on the other side, or maybe you haven't prevailed yet. But the beauty is that when you have the right mentors and people at your table, it allows you to know that everything is going to be okay. Look, for those that know, man, my God is a great God, man, and this God allows me to be immersed. And I want to leave you with this. Look, I know this video is a lot longer, but one of the beauties that I found out this week, this craft that's called kintsugi, which means the golden repair. And I want to give a shout out to my job because we had celebrated Black History Month, where we had a spoken word artist and author, Rudy Francisco, an amazing poet. And he talked about manhood, and he talked about being broken, but that being mended by this particular art form. Can I tell you that later that evening, I took my family out to go to the movies, and we saw this movie called Unbreakable, where it's a true story around a young kid that's autistic and has this condition on top of that. And in the movie, if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry, the father is addicted to alcohol, is having a conversation with his mother. The mother tells him to grab the bowl, this cup, and break it. He breaks it. She tells him to pick up the pieces. He picks up the pieces. He puts it on the table. And she goes, just like that broke and you picked them up the pieces, you too need to pick yourself up and get yourself together. In the movie, as he's going through the process, he starts putting those pieces together through that art form of that Japanese, of the gold, mending the cracks and putting it back together. So I look at my wife and I was like, oh, and I tell them after the movie, I was like, yo, I just learned about this from this poet, Francisco Rudy, and it's amazing. And I was just like, yo, like, God, why did I see this? Why did I hear it? Because it all culminated to a moment whereas I share with many people that when you have finished and you've gotten the result, no matter in your favor, not your favor, step away and acknowledge that you did amazing, that you gave it your all. For me, it's exactly the image that you're watching. An opportunity to thank God, to thank my mentors, my friends, and to thank my family, my wife, my 2 boys, and all my closest friends. We stay winning, and my hope is that you keep going as well. Now, remember, seguimos pa'lante, we keep going forward. And your journey is unique just as mine is unique. And really, each setback is a setup for that comeback. So I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And we continue to go forward. See, my job, I get excited because I just never know if one day I'm going to hire the next amazing designer down the road or the next CEO. I never know. Now, is this my career job? Of course not. But while I'm in it, we're going to excel, we're going to grow, we're going to learn. And those are some of the key lessons that I want you to take away. It's going to be a process. And for me, I have to go through it. And post-decision has been a little unique for me, but in a very good way. Yo, cause I didn't have a title to begin with. I just have a heart to serve my community, mi gente, like everyone out there. And I want to say thank you for all of those that have given me an opportunity to lead projects, to lead some consultations, to be able to lead some amazing, community give back. All of that, I'm just grateful for all of you that have allowed me. And I know that one day I will land, or if God says otherwise, I know that I will land in exactly what my calling is and exactly to showcase the worth and the value. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to make more money. I'm not here to make a prideful stance. I just want progression in life. Mi papá siempre me dijo that always think of something that you would love to do, and no matter how much it pays, every day you wake up, you're excited to do the job. That's my approach. I've never lived a big, blessing, rich life. I've lived a very humble life. And that's why I know that it's never been about the money. Don't get me wrong. It's a key, it's a tool, and it's great to have. But God has called me to greater things, and that's what I do. So Nike, thank you. I'm going to continue to do great work here. And we got a lot of things to get after. And in LA, I'm excited to continually give back. Como siempre, check us out, Fuel Pasión Podcast. Subscribe and immerse yourself dentro de la cultura, grow your faith. Y como siempre, make those conexiones. Como dice mi abuelita, que Dios te bendiga.